Hey guys, what is going on? This is Pants Art Dragon, and today we'll be doing a little video on the top 5 best mid laners for solo queue as a patch 6.10. Now holy fuck, we haven't done one since 6.2, and honestly that's been a really long time. Like, it's honestly been too long, and I feel like we need a big update on the tier list since then, as the mid-season patch has come out, and yeah, there's definitely a meta change in the mid lane. And so with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so coming at number 5 is gonna be Azir. So Azir is a champion that is a mid-game and late-game god because of how much damage he does and the range he has on his, soldiers. He also has a lot of mobility with the streamer shuffle, and he can definitely do a lot of things with his E. And when it comes to team fights, he has a lot of zoning potential because literally he can press his Q, put his soldiers in there, and the AD carry can't really walk in front of him, or well, anyone for that matter, because the soldiers will just destroy them. Especially once he has a Riley's Crystal Scepter and a Nashor's Tooth and a bunch of AP, it just becomes really nasty and it's hard to deal with. He's also pretty hard to kill in the laning phase because of his WE-Q combo, so he can just basically dash out, although that does cost a lot of mana, and usually he's using his WQ combo aggressively. And honestly, he's probably one of the best late game mages in the game right now, due to how ridiculous he can actually get. Now, there are some cons of him, and the first one is he's very hard to master. You can definitely tell the difference between a master tier Azir versus a bronze 5 Azir, or even gold 5 Azir. There's a huge significant skill gap between the two, unlike a challenger Warwick versus a silver 5 Warwick. There's not much of a difference there except decision making. But anyways, here is the recommended runes and masteries for him. Biscuits or Assassin is your preference, but they're both basically for the early game. Next up at number 4 is going to be Twisted Fate. Alright, so Twisted Fate has been relevant for a really long time. He is definitely one of the mid laners who has a lot of presence around the map because of his ultimate, and honestly just helping his other lanes and helping them win is something I emphasize a lot. And as long as he, stays safe in the early game and doesn't really die too much, he's gonna be more of a threat than other mid laner because of his global gank presence. Now, he can probably semi-carry the game, but his true power comes from his map presence. He also has one of the best CCs in the game that's on a very short cooldown, as his stun does last for 2 seconds, so it is really good for him since he can have utility when he's behind. He also has decent wave clear with his Q, and he's got great single target burst for getting picks around the map. But there is one thing that kind of sucks about him, and he doesn't really have a lot of good matchups. Most matchups he basically can get shit on, and it's very hard for him to stay in lane, especially against those assassins, so gotta watch out on how you play the laning phase. Now, why do I think he's better than Azir? I'd say it's his early game presence. He's definitely really good at snowballing the game, and I think he can honestly carry a little bit harder than Azir can. Azir can definitely come up more harder than Twisted Fate in the mid game and late game because of how much damage he can output, but it does take a while until he gets to that point. Now, here are the runes and masteries for Tobias Fate. There's definitely a lot of builds you can build on him, and you can definitely deviate from this build, but just remember it's my recommended items. Now, next up at number 3 is going to be Victor. Now, if you guys watched my video called Panzer Victor, I talked a little bit of shit about him because I was doing no damage, but that was because I was upgrading the hex core and not really giving a shit. I mean, it was a normal game and I didn't really care too much. And that was my impression of the Victor changes. I thought, he kind of sucked because of that. But then I actually read the changes that happened to him, and I was like, wait, these are actually all buffs. His AP ratios, they've gone up. His E and R, when you have AP, are so powerful. What the hell? His wave clear potential went up because his E does more damage. His sustained teamfight damage went up. As long as people are just sitting in your ultimate, he'll be doing a shit ton of damage. And all of this, it improves his late game and mid game, which was actually pretty powerful before the changes, but now it is just more impressive. And even if he falls off or gets shit on a lane, his base damage is actually still pretty high. The only con he has is he is a short to mid-range mage, so he's gonna get a little bit close in teamfights, but he makes up for it for his incredible damage. Why do I feel he's better than Twisted Fate? I don't know, they're pretty close to be honest, but his teamfight presence is definitely better than Twisted Fate, and to be honest is a little bit more scarier if he gets a really nice ultimate. Here is the recommended build for him, but don't rush the hex core. That's a mistake I did, and to be honest, it felt pretty bad, man. Not gonna lie. Alright, so coming at number 2 is gonna be Gangplank. So this champion in my elo is always high priority on the ban list, and he's also a champion that you want to pick up or, just ban it if you don't want to play it. But basically, he's got that mid-game, late-game OPNESS with his barrels. When they explode, they basically have won you the team fight or whatever you're doing. Like say you're trying to siege and you get like a nice barrel on someone, oh well, they gotta retreat, or you're zoning them off Baron, then that's a free Baron if you can get one barrel, or you just straight up kill them with the barrels. Because his barrels do tons of damage along with his Q, and well actually that's a part of his barrels, and his auto attacks and his R. His R actually has quite a bit of damage in it, and he can also provide global support if needed somewhere on the map. He's also relatively hard to kill because of his movement speed and his stupid oranges. Now one of the biggest cons about him is he's very hard to play. Like you really need to know all the tricks and tips with him to actually know how to play him. The only thing I can do with his barrels is wave clear. In teamfights it's just the trickiest shit I've ever dealt with, and I just suck at him to be honest. But I've seen really good GPs get their, the barrel combo on people and literally win teamfights off that. So he's a very rewarding character if you can get the barrel combo. And most high elo players can definitely play Gangplank to a really good level. And that's why I guess he's banned the most. And my reason on why he is better than Victor is because he's extremely frustrating to play against, especially good Gangplanks. Now here is the build for Gangplank. For me, it is really interesting to see that he does get the Bandit Mastery, and it does make sense because every time he Qs someone, he gets 10 gold, since he's a melee champion. And finally, coming at number 1 is going to be Ryze. So before the mid-season update, Ryze was a champion who was, pretty good, but now with the update to the mana items, like Tear and Rod of Ages, he is now probably one of the most OP mid laners right now, because now whenever he uses mana, he will heal a lot of hit point, and the tier buffs do help him since he can spam more spells, and then basically becomes god whenever he is supercharged, and well, just basically kill everybody. Also GA got buffed, and that's actually pretty OP on him since he just does a bajillion damage and also will become fairly tanky. Now just like Azir and Gangplank, he is a very hard champion to play because you gotta know the combo, what abilities you use, and what your rotation is, etc. Me personally, I feel a little bit clunky sometimes when I'm trying to do the rotation since, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't really play him too much. And why is he the best champion in mid lane right now and he's better than everyone you saw in this tier list? It's because before he was really good, and now, well, with the Tear and Rod of Ages changes, he is, well, a pretty OP champion right now. Alright, so here is the build for him. Last item doesn't have to be a Rallies, it could be like a Death Cap or something, but it's preference. And this is basically what I see people running on him. Alrighty, so now that we're done with the top 5, I got 3 honorable mentions for you guys, and first up is gonna be Anivia. So she's a champion who got a pretty good buff honestly in this patch. Her R's cast range, initial radius, and the mana cost per second have all been improved, and now I can definitely see her being an OP champion, because I feel like most of her kit did get improved on the mid-season update, like Q stuns for like 1.5 seconds now. She has better wave clear with her R, and she also just has more slows. Overall, I feel like she could be a potential OP in this patch. Here's the build for her. And the next up is going to be Ahri. So she is one of the most consistent champions in League of Legends. Although I don't really see her too much anymore, she is still a pretty good champion in my opinion. And if you like playing her, you should play her. Anyways, here's my recommended build for her. Next up is going to be Zed. So if you guys didn't read the patch notes or didn't hear about the QSS changes, it doesn't work on Zed's ultimate anymore, or Fiora's, or basically an ultimate that doesn't have a CC is not going to be cancelled. So that's pretty huge for Zed, but for some reason I don't really see him too often. It's kind of weird to me because he should be like super OP in this patch, but I guess not, but it's still definitely worth an honorable mention. Now here's my recommended build for him. Alrighty, so that is it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I'm going to be doing a segment where I answer some of the questions you guys asked on my last tier list. And Patty Brard asks LeBlanc. So LeBlanc is a champion who's like really good in the right hands, but to be honest, I don't really like her late game. Her pick potential is really strong, and she has a lot of presence, but I feel like once the enemy gets like some magic resist, she becomes not as strong because her way of playing is to one-shot people. So I mean, if she can't one-shot people, she's not as good. Plus I also think there's better champions than her. Next up is going to be Jockham Jurglings, and he asks, what about Echo? So do take note, this was before Tank Echo was a thing, but I mean he can be played as a top lane, a jungler, and a mid laner, so in my opinion right now he's definitely a better top laner. What I think of a mid, I don't think he really fits that niche. I feel like he'd have a little trouble since he's a melee champion and could probably be put in a better position to be honest, but I guess he's decent. But yeah, if you guys want me to talk about a certain champion in the next tier list, make sure to comment below on that champion. But that is going to be the end of this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys did like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you didn't, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, I am Panzer Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.